Insomniac's Spider-Man game that came out in 2018 is a tough act to follow. It's the reason I bought a PlayStation in the first place, and it did not disappoint. I would even say that up to this point it was my favorite superhero game of all time. But could the second one be even better? Before giving the second one a try, I had heard mixed reviews about The Amazing Spider-Man 2 where some people absolutely loved it and said it was better than the first, but on the other hand there were those that said that it was not better, that it didn't quite live up to the same standard as the first. In this video, I'll be going over what makes this game so great and seeing if it really is better than the first, and with that being said, let's jump right into it.
Surrounded by menaces! But J. Jonah Jameson is not going anywhere, you hear me? I'm not going anywhere! Wait, where am I going? Where am I going?
In the first game, there were plenty of different suits to choose from, but what? Where's the symbiote suit? How could you have a Spider-Man game without the black symbiote suit?
Where's my super suit?
Turns out that the reason for that is because the developers felt that including the suit in the first game wouldn't allow for them to do the suit and the storyline justice. And so from the very first scene of the story, you learn that you're going to be seeing some black molasses in the game. And not only that, but you'll also be able to see Harry in person, and he's going to be a big part of the game. Up to this point, you haven't really seen him because he's been a bit down with the sickness. But the rumor around town is that he's been hanging out in Europe for these past 2 years. Fast forward to the present day, it's Miles' first day of school.
Listen up, y'all. I'm y'all's substitute teacher, Mr. Garvey.
I've got my eye on you, Jake Quellen.
Peter's actually the new teacher, and will he be able to hold this job down? Let's see. One of the best things that this game has going for it is that there are some great moments. There are parts of the games that will absolutely blow you away, and you get one of these moments right off the bat. It does not take very long for Peter to ditch the class along with Miles, because Sandman's wreaking havoc on New York City, and you and Miles have to team up to take him out.
I don't like sand.
I will say that it's nice playing a game that doesn't make you absolutely hate Spider-Man for a change.
He's a menace to the entire city! I want that wall-crawling arachnid prosecuted!
One of the things that this game adds is new abilities like this. In the Miles Morales edition, you have the ability to use Venom during combat, and so to even the playing field, Spider-Man gets new abilities so that there's no favoritism going on. But as the story progresses, you'll see these new abilities added whether it's through the skill tree or at certain parts in the story. The fight goes on for a while, and since it's the first fight of the game, you get familiarized with the controls. Now another new ability is the wingsuit. Now I've gone back and forth on if I like the wingsuit or if I think that it takes away from the ability to
Make you feel like Spider-Man?
In some cases there's not much of a speed difference between swinging and gliding unless you go through one of these jet streams. Personally, I would say that I swing around the city about 90% of the time, and that includes making the journey over the Hudson. I had a lot more fun finding a bridge and swinging around it. That's also another addition where not only do you get to swing and glide around Manhattan, but that's only half the map now. Now that you can play in Queens and Brooklyn, you feel more like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. The entire map looks great. With each game it just looks better and better. Now they did change the fast travel system where you don't take the subway anymore. You actually just select the point on the map where you want to go and it simply takes you there. Now as the story goes on, you get to see more of Miles and Peter working together, whether it's during the main story or if you're randomly fighting crime, you'll occasionally run into each other. You got a little taste of Peter and Miles working together in the Miles Morales edition, where Peter was showing Miles the ropes, but now both of them are in their prime, and it's one of the best parts of the game. If I'm being honest, I like playing as Miles more than Peter. From his swinging to fighting, the kid's just got more style, and at the beginning of the story, it takes a while before you're able to go off and do your own thing. It takes about a couple hours before you're off on your own because it has to show you the mechanics and side missions, so if you're fresh off playing the first 2 games, it can be a little annoying. The biggest complaint that I have is that the story can be slow, especially at the beginning. It feels kind of like this.
Superman, just the Clark Kent stuff.
And it feels much more noticeable on the second playthrough. I just wanted to get past the Peter Parker levels as fast as possible. When you're able to swing around and fight crime, having to clean up the house or sneak around a high school or zap killer bees with a drone, it makes the story feel like it's coming to a halt. The most boring parts of the first game were the stealth missions with Mary Jane and Miles. Luckily, those kinds of missions in this game are more fun, mainly because those levels aren't as linear and so you can approach them in multiple ways. You also get a stun gun, which, as an American,
I'm all for it.
because so much of the story revolves around Harry, they had to have these slower missions where you get to see Harry come back, where you bike around with him. Side note, one of the most immersive things about playing on a PS5 controller is the ability to feel the click, click, click of the bike. It's incredible. You also get to play some basketball and go to the amusement park. Harry also has a startup that feels like Abstergo from Assassin's Creed Black Flag. But anyway, the game gets a lot better once you get past the first act. Right at the beginning of the story, we're introduced to Kraven the Hunter with his intense theme music. He's a pretty scary guy. Him and his devout followers make their way to New York in order to find worthy prey for him to hunt. Because of that, Spider-Man has to try to save his enemies from Kraven. As these hunters are going after the villains from Spidey's past, you find out that Harry has a little something up his sleeves. Surprise, surprise, it turns out that the symbiote that gave Harry his health back also gave him strength. And we're not just talking typical gym gains, this is Barry Bonds on steroids strength. At the beginning of the game, I didn't think that Spider-Man would be teaming up with Harry, but you get to do that up until...
What happened?
Oh, this feels good.
Carlos, you live!
Get your boss needs better aim.
Like Spider-Man 3, it's pretty clear that the Spider-Man that jokes around like this
I think I'm gonna start a petition. Replace all the gun clubs with something better. Like a compliment club. Compliments don't hurt anyone, and they're free. For example, you take a punch really well. Good job.
is not the same Spider-Man that we see here.
Bruh.
That suit is changing you.
This suit is the only reason I'm still alive.
Yeah, it's pretty great, isn't it?
Why don't you pop some more pills and say what you're really feeling?
Hey, don't.
No wonder your family left you.
On the bright side, this suit gives you some awesome new abilities. Like when he gets full of rage, he hits like a hammer. When necessary, it also allows for him to
Suit up!
It feels good to be able to infiltrate Kraven's army because I'm not exaggerating when I say that they are the most annoying people to deal with. They add another level of difficulty with the variety of ways that they fight you, from these stupid archers that just hang back and shoot you, to these giant tanks that take forever to take out, and then you have these stupid mechanical dogs, which initially you might think, oh, they're just dogs. But then they have these EMP type antennas on them that disable your abilities. They always manage to find ways to cause problems, and for the problems that they didn't cause, they sure know how to make matters worse. After you escape the party and Kraven's tiger,
You're an animal rights person, and you try and come into this facility, this is what you're going to be greeted with.
you're attacked again and again and again. As expected, the longer that Peter has the suit on, the more the symbiote takes control until... Playing this story as a video game as opposed to watching it play out on a movie or TV show, it gives you an interesting perspective that you could only get in a video game. You get to see the change through Peter's eyes, but the change seems like it's even more dramatic as you see it through the eyes of Mary Jane and Miles. Things get worse and worse until it gets to the breaking point. Now along the way you get to fight multiple bosses like the Giant Lizard, Martin Lee, and Kraven, and those fights have multiple phases where you deplete their health bar, then you get a cutscene, and then boom, full health again. When things reach their breaking point, Peter is completely unrecognizable.
You have allowed this Dark Lord to twist your mind until now you have become the very thing you swore to destroy.
It looks like he's about to fulfill Kraven's wish by ending his life until Miles comes to save the day. And this is probably my favorite boss fight in the whole game, where Miles and Peter go head to head, and when I first played it, it was the boss fight that took me the longest. As Miles, you have to counter the same moves that you've been using for a big chunk of the game. As a result of winning the fight, you're able to release Peter from his parasite. At this point here, I didn't think there was going to be too much left of the story, because this game certainly has much more content than the first, and I didn't think that there would be enough time to bring Venom into the picture. But I was wrong. And Harry's able to get the symbiote back, and it's back with a vengeance. Like, a lot of vengeance. Now, I believe that before the game came out that it was said that Eddie Brock wouldn't be in the game, and I wasn't expecting Harry to be Venom, even though the first scene kind of made it obvious. Initially, I thought that Harry would be the Hobgoblin, and it's even subtly hinted at the end of the game as well.
With symbiotes. And you know Harry's not gonna let that rock out of his sight.
Now, a big difference that I noticed between the first and second Spider-Man is that when you take out the stealth missions from the first one, the story pacing is much more steady. It's kind of like a nice campfire. But in this one, it kind of feels like you're trying to keep a fire going when it's raining, and then boom, all of a sudden you have a bonfire. And this game has its fair share of bonfire moments, but there's also moments that feel like they're going to take an eternity to get through. Especially on the second playthrough, where you kind of start to dread having to play these certain moments. But when Harry becomes Venom, we're definitely dealing with a bonfire here. As fun as it is to play Venom in Marvel Rivals, there's nothing quite like playing as him and taking out Oscorp security and Kraven's stupid little hunters. And his moves are simple, but so much fun. This guy right here, named Tony Todd, did the voice for Venom, and he did an awesome job, but sadly he's since passed away. I can't think of a single voice actor that would be better for Venom. So after some fighting, Kraven finally gets to see Venom in his full form. It's a lot easier to fight Kraven as Venom compared to fighting him as Spidey, and the fight ends with Venom fulfilling Kraven's wish to die at the hands of a worthy opponent instead of being taken by cancer.
Genie does as you wish.
Now if you think that the whole Sandman fiasco is hard on New York, you ain't seen nothing yet. In these games, New York gets put through the ringer, but Venom does a number on this city and its citizens. One of those citizens is Mary Jane, where she gets taken over by the symbiote and becomes Scream. And Peter has to fight her. Now going into this game, a fight between Miles and Peter, or Peter and Mary Jane, was not on my bingo card. In the very last mission, you get to play as Mary Jane, Miles, and Peter. For Mary Jane, you get probably the most fun Mary Jane gameplay, where you get to shoot a gun at some symbiotes. You would think this is The Last of Us. Peter starts to fight Venom, and you have to rely heavily on the special abilities that you've acquired during the story. And halfway through the Venom fight, he breaks out some Red Bull.
Red Bull gives you wings.
And somehow, it makes him even more intimidating. Miles then gets to take a turn to take a crack at him. And at the end of it, Harry is left in critical condition, but at least the symbiote's gone. Now I think that Harry's going to survive and that Norman is going to use the G serum, and that it's going to be a big part of the next game. Whether Norman becomes the Green Goblin or Harry becomes the Hobgoblin, or both, we'll just have to wait and see. It's looking like Doc Ock is also going to be part of the game as well, because he's writing the final chapter. I have mixed feelings about the idea that the next Spider-Man game is going to be the last in the series. Spider-Man is very similar to Batman in that there are so many great villains and storylines that it would allow for more than just 3.5 games. There is the issue of trying to improve each game and adding new features, and that is already going to be difficult because they've added so much in this game as it is. In this game there are so many new suits, a bigger New York, a bigger skill tree, and a more refined combat system with better traversal. So with that, it's going to be hard to keep improving. You also don't want to have the series go downhill, kind of like that show that lasts too long, where you realize that it should have ended a couple seasons ago on a high note. I don't think that'll be the case. I'm excited to see how the next one plays out, but this game had a lot to offer. The side missions and activities were great. I loved seeing Martin Lee's redemption, and playing as both Miles and Peter and doing missions together was awesome. Because of the variety of ways that enemies would attack you in the game, it felt more difficult. But the million-dollar question is this game better than the first? In my humble opinion, I think that the game as a whole was better, even though the beginning was on the slow side. There's just so much that was added and improved upon, even though the first did everything so well. But I do think that the story was better in the first. But I think it's safe to say that I love both games. But let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.
I've got my eye on you, Jake Quellen.